Viewers beware, you're in for a scare. Are you looking to up your Halloween mood this year? Then you're in luck. I put together a YouTube Music and Spotify playlist of some of my favorite Halloween songs that you guys can jam to this year. So if you want, they are available right now. Just follow the links in the description. Thank you. Hey guys, Alex here, and welcome to the first ever video of Screamtober. All throughout the month of October, we are going to be doing some Halloween content. So let's cut to the chase before I start rambling on. So, basically, in today's video, I'm going to read you guys some scary stories. Now, we did something like this last year, where it was just a bunch of random stories, random scary stories I found online. It basically didn't have a theme. Yeah, it was like Halloween themed, but they were mostly like scary ones. The last one was definitely Halloween themed. But this year, we're gonna spice it up a bit. This year, we're gonna have a certain theme. But before we get into that, I just want to point out this amazing background for this video. Well, I set it up myself. But yeah, this is probably my favorite one so far. But in the next couple of Screamtober videos, I am going to be having this cool new backdrop I ordered from Amazon 2 or 3 days ago. I'm not really sure. But yeah, it came and it looks really, really good. And I can't wait to show you guys what it is. The first story is one I found on Reddit. And it's someone's real life experience with trick-or-treating. And the second story I'm going to tell you guys is a creepypasta. And the last story is one I wrote myself. Come to think of it, I don't really have a creepy or scary trick-or-treat story to tell you guys, so I decided to make one up. I did write one for last year. It was pretty creepy, not gonna lie. So with all that out of the way, here are some scary trick-or-treat stories. This took place a while ago. I was 13 and my family had just moved to a new town. A new friend of mine from school and I made plans to go trick-or-treating together. At the time, I remember thinking I was a bit too old to be still trick-or-treating. But who doesn't want free candy? My friend and I figured we still had 1 year of trick-or-treating left in us. Because we were 13 and lived in a fairly safe neighborhood, my parents thought it would be fine for us to trick-or-treat together without adult supervision. Everything was going great, and we were having fun getting some solid candy, etc. Then we rang on one guy's doorbell. The porch light was on, and there was a pumpkin or two, so we figured the people in the house were likely to be handing out candy. A middle-aged man opened the door. At first, I was glad because he was all dressed in costume and happy to see my friend and me, so I felt we were for some top-tier candy. I don't even remember what candy he handed out, but I do remember what happened next. He asked us to enter his home, which is weird, but we were 13, so we really didn't think anything of it. Then he asked if he could take our photo. He said he always liked to take photos of kids every Halloween because he loved seeing the costumes. On one of his walls were a bunch of pictures of different random unrelated children in Halloween costumes. At this point, even being a dumb 13-year-old, I was starting to get kinda creeped out. But I figured it was best not to upset the man and let him take the picture and then we could leave. So he snaps the photo of us and then he pulls out a clipboard with a sheet of paper with a bunch of names written in childish handwriting. He says he likes the kids whose pics he snaps to sign their names so he can know who they are. At this point, we were both mega creeped out. We should have just ran away, but we were too conditioned not to be rude. So I decided to sign a fake name. He looked at the paper, looked back up at me, then down at the paper. Then he replied the fake name I'd given and nodded. Luckily after that, he didn't do anything. We were free to leave, but it definitely creeped us both out. At the time, I thought he was just an eccentric guy, but as an adult looking back on the story, it seems much more sinister. I'm so glad nothing bad happened to us, and hope nothing bad happened to any other kids. Halloween, with all these costume kids trick-or-treating in the dark and minimal parental supervision, could be a great opportunity for predators to get kids alone in their homes, with no one knowing the kids' whereabouts. Please stay safe out there, and happy Halloween. Halloween used to be my favorite holiday. It was the one time of year you could be anything you wanted to be. You could draw out your darkest desires and display them for the world to see. No one would think you were odd for being the person you always wanted to be. There was no judgment for your choice of attire, and oftentimes you were commended for that choice. Then at the end of the night, you received a reward in your efforts in the form of a bag full of candy. I am far too old to go door to door begging for treats, but I enjoy watching my children do the same. Weeks in advance, we let them pick their costumes. They were far too young to delve into the ghastly, and usually end up picking a character of a popular movie or TV show. I simply take my pictures and urge them onto each doorway. I always remind them to say trick or treat before the door opens. It has been this way for a few years now, but I'm starting to question the tradition, especially after visiting 113 Forest Road. This past year, we made the rounds of our local neighborhood. We made sure to only approach the homes that had their porch lights on, which was the unspoken rule. Our night had almost come to an end when we reached a home that had been vacant for the last 2 seasons. It was the largest within our neighborhood, towering at 2 stories when all the others had only 1 level. It was a large brick Victorian monstrosity that may have once been beautiful, but the landscape had long needed work. It was the house most kids made stories about, and when we saw the dim glow of that yellow bulb, I was unsure of letting my children approach. My oldest begged to ring the doorbell, and my youngest simply wanted more candy. I was outnumbered and relented at their pleas. My wife sat within the eating vehicle, while I followed close behind. The 2 made their way up the steps, and I waited at the bottom. Like always, I reminded them of what to say. My oldest son held his brother's hand and pressed the lighted button. Ringing, much like church bells, echoed from within the house for a moment, before returning to silence after a few seconds. After a few seconds, they turned to me with questioning looks. I had noticed a moving truck parked outside the home earlier in the month and knew someone must have lived there, but I had not seen them. There was no car in the driveway, and I did not see any lights on inside. I started to think they were simply gone and left the light on in case it was dark by the time they returned. I waved to my children to come back to the car and told them we would just head home. The look of disappointment on their faces told me they were not ready to end the night just yet. Their faces lit up as the door creaked to life and a voice beckoned them to wait. "Trick or treat," they both screamed with excitement. A feeling rolled in me like thunder, and a signal of danger rang in my head.
Something was not right. If they were home at all this time, where was the car I had seen sitting in the driveway the last few weeks? I instinctively advanced on my two children, taking the steps in leaps. A feeling inside me told me they should not go toward that voice, and I called for them to stop as they turned toward the door. I choose both. The voice seemed strained, like that of a lifetime smoker. Two ragged hands shot from the parted pathway and drew both of my little boys inside. Their screams echoed in my head. My adrenaline shot me forward, but my body slammed against the closing door. I pounded repeatedly, screaming obscenities of every nature. My body shook violently as my world became a spiral of despair. The whole scene drew the attention of my wife, and soon she was right behind me. In an effort to find the entry, I took a step back, lifted my right foot, and dropped it full force into the hardwood. The door frame shattered, allowing the barrier to fly freely into the darkness. I cried out in terror for my little boys as I rushed through each room. My entire reason for living had been snatched up in an instant, and I had been too late to stop it. When the house had been searched completely with no results, my wife phoned the authorities. Through the wails of agony, we both held each other, lit up our tiny neighborhood. It has been a year now, and we still have no answer to what has happened to our children. My wife distanced herself from me, and I'm sure she blames me for what had happened. I don't fault her for that. I blame myself as well. If I had not let them go to that door or listened to my feelings sooner, they would both still be here. Halloween is no longer a time for fun for us, but a reminder of our mistakes. I don't even leave my house on that night, and even the sight of a pumpkin makes tears stream down my face. The drive home from work is especially hard, witnessing the houses that decorate for this occasion. I am almost in a panic before I close myself within the safety of my home. Please, if you read this, don't let your kids visit 113 Forest Road on Halloween. Everyone thinks we're crazy, but we know what we saw. You're probably wondering what I'm talking about, so let me explain. Halloween to me has always been my favorite holiday. Every year it comes around, I feel ecstatic. My obsession with Halloween started from early childhood memories. Dressing up and going door to door, collecting candy, and later eating that candy in my bed until sunrise. Now I'm older, and people always tell me that I'm too old to be trick-or-treating. Usually, I would think they were crazy for even thinking that. But now I'm almost 18. I have realized now that maybe I am getting a little too old. I think I'm rambling on too much about this. Let's just cut right to the chase. It was October 31st, 2017. The weather was slightly breezy, but it was expected for an autumn day. I was at one of my friend's house discussing what we were going to do for our last trick-or-treat. We finally decided to go out and try to mess with some people, and also get some candy, of course. It soon became closer to 5 p.m., and we decided to go out a bit early. It was me, my best friend Jason, his girlfriend Kelsey, and Dylan, my other best friend. We traveled down my neighborhood, ready with our toilet paper. We stopped at this one house to pull a prank on the people who lived there. We then proceeded to throw strands of toilet paper all over the house,
Luckily, we didn't get caught. We ran as fast as our legs could carry us, as the owner of the house flung open the door screaming at us. For a half hour, we rang each doorbell and knocked on every door as we collected our candy. We mostly got the generic Halloween candies, such as M&Ms, Kit Kats, Reese's, etc. We also received tiny cans of soda, which has always been my favorite. It started to get darker and later out. Most of the houses had their lights turned off, with nothing but a basket that was empty on the porches. "I think we should go back," stated Jason. Dylan looked over at him and said, "We can't stop now, guys." I honestly was tired and wanted to conclude the night and go back home. But right as we were about to leave, we noticed off in the distance there were lights that lit up the trees. We decided to go and figure out where the lights were coming from. The light soon took us to a very old-looking neighborhood. The houses seemed more like cottages than modern houses, but we didn't judge. Not gonna lie, it did seem a bit odd and way out of the place from the houses in my neighborhood. As we approached the gate that led to the rows and rows of houses, a feeling of dread consumed me. I didn't know why I felt this way, but I didn't pay any attention to it, which was a big mistake. But we'll get into that later. The first house we stopped at looked run down and abandoned. "I don't think this is a great idea, guys," Jason said. Everyone looked at him, and Dylan said, "Come on, how bad can it be?" Without arguing, we decided to knock on the door. It took a while, but the door slowly creaked open. The house inside was dark and empty. We were all getting scared, not gonna lie. A few minutes later, a frail old woman emerged from the shadows and said in a raspy voice, "I'm inside. I have some candy in my basement." When she said this, chills shot through my veins. We kindly declined, not wanting to upset the woman. Once we said this, her expression went from sweet to a big, creepy smile. She smiled wider than any human could. She then slowly closed the door, still looking at us with baggy, bloodshot eyes. The smile didn't leave her face as the door shut completely. We were speechless, so we decided to go to another house. We thought we just got bad luck with this person. The next house looked the same as the last one. When we knocked on the door, it opened without hesitation, and to our surprise, it was the same woman. She still had that same wide smile plastered on her wrinkly face as she licked her dried, crusty lips. We slowly started to walk away. Before we could get a few inches from her house, she started to laugh quietly to herself. We stopped dead in our tracks as this old woman laughed maniacally. Her laugh still plays in my head till this day. She then said in a hoarse voice, "Leaving so soon, kids?" Dylan then looked at her and told her to leave us alone. But then the woman suddenly stopped laughing. She just stood there staring at us, making no sound. We kept walking away from this strange woman. I curiously looked back at the woman, and my heart dropped in my chest. She stood there, looking very angry. And I looked back, but the woman was nowhere to be seen, to my relief. We walked for a long time, passing each house. We were not going to knock on any more doors because we honestly felt uncomfortable. But for whatever reason, I felt like I was being watched. So I looked back. No one was there. So I turned back and continued to walk. 2 minutes later, a snap of a twig made us stop walking. "What was that?" exclaimed Kelsey. No one answered. there is no need. Because after she said that, leaves started to crunch rapidly. I then noticed that the woman was running super fast behind us, which triggered a flight or fight response inside us. So we started to run through the dark woods, running into trees and slightly tripping over rocks and roots. We didn't look back all the way through the woods. We ended up where we started a while ago. I recognized the park we were in before seeing the lights that drew us to that creepy woman. Luckily, I remembered the name of the area that was posted on an old wooden plank sign in the entrance of the strange neighborhood. We didn't report it. We just ended the night early. I recently was looking back to that Halloween and decided to look up the name of the neighborhood into Google Maps. What came up confused and shocked me. It said the place I was looking for was not found. I actually wasn't able to find any information on the place at all, which got me thinking, was the place even real? Or did it just materialize out of nowhere? I looked up the woods we entered and found many other witness accounts suggesting the woods to be an entrance to a parallel universe. We still don't know what happened that Halloween night. No one else, not even my own family, believes me. But I know what I saw. And I still think about it to this very day. And that old woman's face is ingrained in my mind whenever I close my eyes. If you go out with your friends or family on Halloween, always stay in your own neighborhood. Hey guys, me again. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. That's all the scary stories I get to tell you guys. If a stranger ever says, oh, come in my house, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not a good idea. There is definitely more coming this month. Hopefully you guys are excited. I go all out for Halloween. You guys should definitely see the house. There's a vlog coming soon of us decorating the house. And yeah, okay, but anyways guys, if you like this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more scary videos like this. And don't ever enter a stranger's house, because you might not be seen ever again. Did I scare you? Come on, you can admit it. You can admit it. I scared you. We're all human here. If you got scared, it's fine. I didn't scare you. This is awkward.